Assalamu alaikum, people. Yeah, that's the workout get you. Good morning, people. Assalamu alaikum, alhamdulillah. Hey, man, I've been having like some good days. Um, I've been paying attention to the YouTube streets just a little bit more than I usually do. And I always represent Busterville, California, meaning that no selective politics, no DPs, no unnecessary fades. We don't trip off too much of nothing. The only thing we trip off of over there is like predators, pedophiles, and stuff like that. I think that's the norm around the whole United States culture, irregardless of race, color, or creed. I think everybody frown upon, dudes being predators and preys in the community, pedophiles and stuff like that. Anyway, man, I was at the beach yesterday, Hermosa Beach yesterday. Me and some of the brothers, some young Muslims, like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We out there, we doing our thing, we working out. We did like 6 miles. Man, we just vibing, good vibe. We on the sand and stuff like that. Man, we ran across some brothers, man, some young brothers, man. And I think they was like, had to be in their mid-20s. And I got recognized. And what I'm saying, he said, man, your name is Eddie Boy, huh? I said, nah. I said, I used to be Eddie Boy, but my name is Abdul Aziz. I said, my page is Big Eddie Boy 1 because a lot of people, they don't know how to say Abdul Aziz. A lot of people, when I run into people, they still think that I'm still that individual. So I don't get mad at that. So I can relate to that. So it's okay. And the brother, one of them said, hey man, your hood day coming up. And I said, huh? He said, yeah man, your hood day coming up, man. I said, what? I said, hey bro, I ain't never been to no hood day. And it blew him away. He was like, what? I said, hey bro, I never been to no hood day, bro. I ain't never in my entire life been to no hood day ever in my life, bro. I say, brother, when I was a part of that mass destruction, this is exactly what I told him. When I was a part of that mass destruction, there was no hood days, bro. It was just us getting together, having fun, picnics, chilling, and all that stuff. He said, man, you don't want to go see none of your homies? I said, homies? I said, I don't have no homies, bro. He was like, what? I said, bro, let me give you some education game, a little bit of game, little brother. I said, your homies can come or become your potential enemy, bro. I say now your friends are your friends. There's a difference between the two, bro. And I say as you grow and get older, you are not gonna be around some of them dudes that you call your so-called homies. And I said, and it was like 5 of them. I said, you see these brothers in your group? I said, these brothers your friends, or they homies, or they your homies? He said, these are my homies. I never asked them where they was from or nothing like that, but you can tell they was members. And I said, brother, some of these brothers is not going to be around in 4 or 5 years, bro. They're not going to be your homies. Now, some of them might be your friends and stuff like that. But 9 times out of 10, bro, you grow up out of that. And when you grow up out of that, you got to understand that you'll see that them dudes, that homie stuff, really don't mean anything, bro. And it was a good little vibe, man, dealing with these youngsters, man. They was cool, they're respectful. They say they follow me, and then I heard one of them, the real quiet one. He was like, man, you know what, bro? He said, man, I'm tired of this shit. And I was like, what? He said, man, I'm tired of this shit, man. He said, man, he said, man, how can I walk away? I said, bro, just walk away. I said, man, just walk away, bro. I said, man, if you walk away and you let them brothers know you walk away and they get mad at that, they really didn't have no love for you in the jump street. If you decide to take on a different path, because he told me he had like kids, he had the baby mama. He said, man, he had a job opportunity. He said he's working now, but he has a bigger and better job opportunity. And he said, man, he just tired, man. And I said, bro, just walk away, man. I said, there is an expiration date, bro. I said, man, just like with spoiled milk, just like with bread, just like with anything in this world, even with us, we all have an expiration date. Everything has an expiration date, bro. I said, man, do you see all the chaos and confusion on YouTube? They was like, yeah. I said, hey, bro, these over here, where we at, where we vibe at, or where we work out at, bro, we don't have that, bro. We don't have dudes talking about squabble up. We don't have old dinosaurs, man, trying to keep the chaos and confusion going on. We don't have dudes coming over here vibing with us, glorifying the penitentiary, glorifying criminal activity. I said, bro, we don't have that, bro. We understand that when you go to the penitentiary, you're a piece of shit. You're the dumbass dude. You're not no hell of a Negro. We understand that when you represent a gang, that you're a predator to prey in your community. We understand, man, that being a real nigga don't mean that you got to go out there and do some stupid shit. Take somebody's life. Go to the penitentiary. Hang out on the block all day. Get high, smoke, drink, all that. We understand that, bro. And I must say, man, I ain't even gonna lie, bro. I must say that them brothers was like a sponge. I mean, literally, they was like a sponge. And you can tell, man, that some of these youngsters getting sick and tired, bro, of just representing, something that's not getting them anywhere. You can tell. I'm talking about literally, you can tell, bro, because we were just minding our business, man, and they came up to us. They approached us, bro. And the cold part about it, they started doing push-ups with us, man. And that was always a alhamdulillah. I got the names. I got the quiet one number. The one that was real quiet, I got his information. Because you can tell he's ready. He's ready for the transformation. I don't know what area he's trying to go into or what anything like that, but I can tell that he's tired. And he's at that ripe age. I think I was probably at that age. And you can see that you be a part of something that's really not worth nothing. And then, you have the other one, the one that was doing all the talking. You can tell he was like a real member type dude. And he was asking me like certain things about how I feel about hood days, how I feel about DPs, how I feel about snitches, and all that type of stuff. He was just asking so many questions. So when he got to ask me about hood days, he said, what do you feel about hood days, bro? I said, man, I believe hood day is a photo op for the law enforcement, FBI, the gang task force, or any law enforcement agency. It's a photo op. It's to identify everybody that's a part of a particular type of gang. And basically, you just putting yourself in a trick bag, because if something happened huge inside that particular section, they mess around and they'll get warrants for everybody and say you guys are part of this particular gang. Even though you haven't done anything, you still can get in trouble. I told him about that. That's how I feel about it. I said, bro, I've never been in no hood day. I really don't care about that stuff. I said, bro, we have a hood day every day over here in Busterville, California, bro. I said, we at our hood day right now. I said, every day is our hood day, bro. We don't have all that nonsense going on, man. It's always love, bro. We always look out for each other, and things of that nature. So, and then he was asking me about, this was very vital. He was asking me about my generation versus this generation right here. And I kept it a buck with him. I said, bro, be on the honest, not to be disrespectful, none of you brothers, nobody from nobody generation, bro. I said, bro, when I came around, bro, I said, man, you couldn't even walk down the streets, man. He was like, what do you mean? I said, bro, I said the gunplay, the violence was at its highest peak. I said, man, dudes, man, bodies was dropping every day in the United States ghetto, man, at least 100 bodies a day, bro. I said, man, dudes was dying, bro. Funerals every day, bro. Dudes was dying at a whole high level, bro. I said, man, if you was soft, you had any type of weakness to you, you couldn't come around there, bro. I said, dude, the way you guys be drinking, smoking, and be on that, on that, all that other stuff. I say, brother, you guys, we would have swallowed y'all up back then, bro. You guys would have never made it. I was like, ain't no disrespect to you guys, man. I say, man, you guys are in an age where everything is technology, is dealing with technology. I said, we didn't have that, bro. You know, our mothers and fathers, man, made us go outside. Made us go outside, go play, get rough. We all knew how to fight, bro, and all that type of stuff, bro. We didn't have the luxury that you guys have right now, bro. We didn't have cell phones. We had beepers, and we didn't have that at first either. You know, we used to go like to concerts and house parties, Uncle Jam's Army, and we'd walk up in there, bro, and we had to fight our way out. I said, now you guys don't fight your way out. Y'all switch your way out. I say, brother, it's totally different, man. It's totally different. I say, look how skinny you guys are, bro. You know, he was like, oh man, we skinny. I was like, bro, look at you. You guys don't do nothing. You guys don't work out. You guys don't do push-ups. You guys don't do no running. You guys don't do nothing. I said, bro, that was a must for us, bro. We were just raised like that. And I said, a lot of us played sports too, bro. Even though we was in that bullshit, we played sports. So I say, brother, it's a big difference, you know, between us and you guys. And I said, this internet is totally different. We didn't have that. I said, bro, you be seeing these dudes on the internet be talking about, I want to feed, let's squat. I said, bro, we wasn't doing no shit like that, bro. I said, bro, we was hunters. I said, man, if we had a problem with a dude, bro, we're going to spin the block. We're gonna do our reconnaissance. We're going to find out where you at. We'll hide in your bushes. We'll hide up under a car. I said, brother, we was ruthless with that bullshit, bro. I said, all these dudes do is just be on the internet, just be like, no damn well ain't nobody gonna pull up for no fade. No damn well ain't nobody gonna do nothing. And I also told them like this, bro. I said, you guys gotta be very, very careful, because I got to point out like cameras like everywhere. I said, you see all these cameras and all this stuff over here, bro? I said, bro, that's everywhere. Don't let nobody fool you. I say, even in the alleys now, in the United States ghettos, they got cameras everywhere, bro. You really can't do nothing. You're not gonna be able to get away with nothing. So if you out there, you want to try, you gonna do something, be prepared to go to jail once you do it if you get away with it, bro. But it was a good vibe, man. It was always a alhamdulillah, you know, when I see little young brothers like that, man, it's like, they was real cool. I never asked them where they was from, but they was members. For sure they was members. I didn't care where they was from. They were just black, you know, and me and some of the brothers, you know, I had some young brothers with me yesterday, some young riders. Y'all think that me and the older generation know that stuff, like, you know, the self-defense stuff, like, and these youngsters, man, they be quick with it, bro. I be like, we be sparring with them youngsters, man, they got so much energy. I be like, damn. You know, the only thing that we have over them is experience and a little weight. But other than that, you know, the brother's gonna be all right. Alhamdulillah, man. I like seeing that. I like to see them little youngsters come through there. You know, they worked out with us. You know, it was a good vibe, bro. They chilled with us. We bought them lunch and everything, bro. And you know, it's just showing love, man. It's not always squabble up. Let's squabble up. Let's squabble. Man, get the fuck out of here. I can't stand that shit, bro. You know, it's like brothers can't show each other love, man. It's unbelievable, man, how dudes can't show a brother love, irregardless of what's going on, man. We all the same color. Uh, we walk and we talk, and we all the same people, man. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter what race, color, creed. You know, we live in Bustonville, California, and that's the way how we push it. And we have a hood day every fucking day, bro. Every day. Man, you people be safe, man. Ain't no squabble ups in Bustonville, California, bro. We don't do that, man. We don't try to harm each other. We don't care about what's going on. And for you brothers on this internet, man, always talking about squabble up and you need a fade, bro. Take this in account, bro. That if you have a squabble with a dude and you meet up with a dude, you go meet up with a dude, that's premeditated. Take that into account. And also take it into account, man, if something happened to that individual, if he fall, bust his head, or something drastic happened to him and it's caught on camera, take it into account, man, that dude don't have to press charges against you, bro. He don't have to do that because the camera's going to press charges against you. Assalamu alaikum.